Hi everybody, this is Crystal. So today I'm going to show you how to make that cowl there that you just saw on the mannequin. Now those two pictures are both the same cowl. They were just folded in a different way. So the first one is just like that. Doubled up, folded. And then if you want it to go over your head, all it was you just take take a piece from the back and pull it up over your top of your head. So it's really easy. It's made back and forth and then it's seamed together here at the end. But that's it. It's actually really easy to do. It's just a 1 row repeat. So let's go ahead and get started on it. Okay, for this project I am using a Red Heart Unforgettable, which is a 100% acrylic medium 4-weight yarn. You don't have to use this yarn. Any medium 4-weight yarn will work. The color I am using is called Heirloom, and there are 270 yards in this ball, and I used the whole entire thing. So this is I just used it until I ran out. So this is a 1 ball project. So 270 yards is what you'll need. And then I'm going to be using a size, oh, wrong one, J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. And as always, I just want to ask you not to forget to subscribe to my channel. Also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. And we're going to start off with a slip knot on our hook. This stitch is done in a multiple of 4 in case you want to make yours bigger or smaller or use this stitch for something else. But for me, I'm going to start off with a chain of 36. Alright, I got my chain of 36 made. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a triple crochet in the 6th chain from the hook. And remember, we do not count the one that's on our hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the 6th one, we're going to do a triple crochet. I'm going to go back in and do another triple crochet into the same stitch. And then chain 2, and we're going to go back into the same stitch and work a double crochet. So we are going to call that stitch that we just did a shell. So we did, the shell is 2 triples, chain 2, and a double, all into the same stitch. Now we're going to skip 3 stitches and we're going to work a shell into the next. So we're going to skip, 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 and in the next one, yarn over twice, and we'll work 2 triples, chain 2, and a double into the same stitch. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way across. So we're going to skip 3 again, skip, 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 and in the next one we're going to work our shell. So we're going to work 2 triples, one, 2, chain 2, and then a double into the same stitch. Like that. Repeat it again. Skip 3, skip, 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 and shell into the next. So 2 triples, chain 2, and a double. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end of the row. Skip 3 and then do our shell. Skip 3 and do our shell. Okay, I've come to the end of row 1 and you should have 2 stitches that remain. Go ahead and skip 1 stitch and triple crochet into the last stitch. And that'll end row 1, and then you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of the shells. what you should have. Row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to double crochet right back into this very first stitch. Like that. And now this chain 2 space here, we're going to work a shell right into it. So we're going to work right through the space, 2 triples, chain 2, and 2, and then 1 double, just like that. Now we're going to jump to the next chain 2 space right here and work a shell into it. So we're going to yarn over twice and we're going to go in and work 2 triples, chain 2, and go back in and work 1 double. And that's what we're going to repeat for row 2. We're just working a shell in each one of these chain 2 spaces from the previous shell. So we're going to yarn over twice, go into the next space here, and we're going to work 2 triples. It's 1, 2, and then we're going to chain 2, go back in and work a double. And that's our shell. And now I'm going to repeat this pattern until I get to the end of the row. Jump here to my next chain 2 space and work my shell, my 2 triples, chain 2, and a double. Just like that. That's what it starts to look like. Okay, I'm coming to the end of row 2, and how we're going to end it is, I just did my last shell there in my chain 2 space. This chain over here from the very beginning, remember we started by working a triple crochet in the 6th stitch from the hook, so that left 5 chains. Go ahead and end by triple crocheting in the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Triple crochet into that 4th chain there, like that, and you still should have 8 of the shells. Okay, row 3 is the repeat row for the rest of the pattern. We chain 1 and turn, and then we double crochet right back into that same stitch. And it's actually very similar to row 2. We're going to put a shell right here into this first chain 2 space. So we work our 2 triples, chain 2, and then a double. Jump to the next chain 2 space and work a shell. So we work our 2 triples, chain 2, and a double. So it's kind of what we just did on the previous row. We're working a shell in the chain 2 space of every shell. The only difference is the way we end it. So 2 triples into the next chain 2 space, chain 2, and a double. Just like that. Next one. 2 triples, chain 2, and a double. So I'm going to repeat this until I get to the end of the row. Alright, I've made it to the end of row 3. You'll still have your 8 shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the only difference is from the previous row is the way we end it. We're just going to do a triple crochet into our this very last double crochet here. And that's how we end every row. So now it's just a repeat of row 3, what we just did. So we chain 1 and turn, and we start with a double crochet. Every row starts with a double, and then you shell in each one of these chain 2 spaces, and every row ends with a triple into the last stitch. You'll always have 8 shells every row. So we're just going to keep doing this until we get it as long as we need it to be. Alright, I have finished all my skein yarn except for I left a little bit here to sew it together. So I actually did a total of 55 rows. You can do more if you want, or you can do less. It's up to you. But I just did it till I just had a little bit of yarn left out of my bowl of yarn. That way I could sew it together. So what I'm going to do is kind of just flip it together. Yeah, like this, fold it in half, and then I'm going to slip stitch the ends together. Both sides are probably going to look the same to you since we're working in rows. But I didn't tie off. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through this first stitch. You can chain one and chain one if you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and go through that first stitch. And then I'm going to go through the top of this first stitch here, or this chain here, and I'm going to slip stitch. Now I'm going to go across and I'm going to try to match up the stitches, slip stitching it together. Now if you want to use a yarn needle and a piece of yarn and sew it together, that's fine too. Either way, as long as it gets sewed up as best as you can get it, you know. Just try to get the slip stitches as even as possible, or if you're using a yarn needle and a piece of yarn, just try to get it sewed up evenly across as you can. And if you use a yarn needle and instead of slip stitching, it's no different. I mean, it's not going to change how it looks or anything. So either way is fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish getting this sewed up here at the end so it can be an infinity scarf. If you want it to be a regular scarf, you don't have to do this, and you can make it as long as you want. So, I mean, you can just keep going, add another row or another ball of yarn and make it super long, and don't even slip stitch it together. Just make it a nice long scarf. That would be really pretty too. But I'm going to go ahead and get this finished up here, sewing it up. Okay, I got it slip stitched all the way to the end, and I'm just going to tie it off and hide these tails. But then that will be it. I'll probably go ahead and flip the where the slip stitch is on the inside like this. So that would be the outside, the seam. That's it. That's all there is to it. Once you get those tails hidden, I think it turned out really nice. And until next time, have a good day.